But you yourself know what is happening in Abuja. And what we are saying is that they are certainly ill-prepared, and that is, on a serious note, ill-prepared to appreciate the basic problems of the people of this country. And if, for instance, the National Assembly cannot, after, I think, 14 years now, could not have reviewed so many areas of the Constitution dealing with the items of the exclusive list, when they actually know that there are so many, that development is almost impossible, nearly impossible, when these functions are kept strictly by the federal government.
Take a look at, comment on the demands by labor movements now that minimum wage should remain on the exclusive list. But
you know, ma, that is an, pardon my language here, quite an unreasonable demand. In Lagos, you know that the cost of living index, can you compare it to the cost of living index in Ekiti or in Kaduna? Now, if a civil servant or a company worker is living and working in Lagos, and you expect him to earn the same thing for doing the same job with somebody living in Ekiti or in another sleepy town in
But that is not a salary scale. I mean, that is just the minimum. They say they've done a thorough research in terms of looking at what the minimum is anyone can earn across board in this country. And they believe the federal government should continue to hold a minimum wage for what is obtainable wherever it is any Nigerian might be in this country.
But the minimum wage is dependent on the kind of factors, the cost of living index in every area, and that should be left to the federating units to determine. Why, for instance, would the federal government determine the minimum wage for a state that can ill afford such a minimum wage, particularly if it has no bearing to the cost of living index in that particular area?
Yeah, but can't these issues be corrected by the National Assembly? Must it be a national conference matter?
Well, the point is that you've seen the National Assembly from 1999. Now, let's even go back before then. When have you seen a genuine attempt at working on our Constitution? Yes, in the jamborees that they've been having, making consultations all over the country, people, of course, they are aware of the genuine need for a new platform. Now, the National Assembly has not at any time seriously worked on issues affecting Nigerians, particularly if you look at development indices as to what are the things that constitute
but this matter,
yes.
the Senate touched on it. They wanted to remove it from that exclusive list, and Labour protested. Other groups didn't speak up. I don't know if your group spoke up, but we didn't hear anything from you.
No, but tell me, is there any specific thing on the Constitution where the National Assembly had really succeeded in tinkering with?
Some people say it's not for lack of attempt. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we bring up this very touchy issue. Yes. It's not because they haven't attempted it. It's what has followed suit after the attempt.
But how genuine are they? And then there's also this other issue that in this country, unless people can't sit down, air their views, and without anybody being overbearing, because it's important, that is quite important, without any, whether it is National Assembly, whether it is a bigger authority, being overbearing, listening to the views of the others, no matter how small they are. And you can see what is happening with regards to devolution of power, even in Scotland. You can see that all the efforts, all that Great Britain is doing now is asking, please, it is in our collective interest to remain together. you don't have to go. We can look at those areas that you think you need restructuring.
Just quickly, we're already being wound up. Just one more question.
Yes.
They say that we need to dust up, I mean, the minutes of the former conversations that we have, the reports. Do you agree, or should we be having a fresh conversation?
It's a complete conversation, fresh, unless, of course, they are ready to say, let us go back to the Independence Constitution, in which case we know that that was a truly federal constitution. But other than that, we have to really put all the matters on the table afresh.
All right.
And then come to a conclusion.
Okay, then we've been speaking with Wale Oshun, who is the chairman of Afeni Ferry Renewal Group and a member of the Constituent Assembly in 1987. Thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you very much.
We'll return after this break. Please join us again if you can.